Welcome back to Firefly Studios. My name is Kadia, and today we are going to go over how to save data. So, the setup for this is pretty straightforward. I just have some text elements that I've added. This old name is just a TMP Pro text that is going to display the last saved name, and then I've got an input field. The input field is very similar to a button in that I've got my normal color, press color, all that good stuff. Additionally, it functions the same way where you have Unity events that are set up. I have my script that we are going to create referenced here, where we are going to call a function when the value changes. One thing of note is that you have the text object and a placeholder object as children of your input field. The placeholder is going to be this grayed out text that you see that's kind of like a prompt. So in my case, enter name. That's where you want to change it if you want to edit what that looks like. The text one has to do with the text that you enter. So if I press play here and I start typing something in here, so if I type in like name, the way this looks right here, this name, that is dictated by that text element. All right, next, our script. Let's just jump into it. So our script is pretty straightforward. We have using statements that we have to add. So in our case, we have using TMP Pro. If you don't want to use the TMP versions of text fields or whatever, you'd use Unity Engine.ui. I've got a string for player name. I can actually make this one private. And then I have two serialized fields for our name input. This is our input field. And our old name, which is our text, which we want to display our old name. So player prefs are very straightforward. They function like arrays. I'm going to link that in the top right. And the way they work is they contain information in key data pairs. So you have a key that tells you what the thing is, and then you have a value for it. So for example, here I'm asking, does it have a key named name? If it does, that means there's been some information saved as name. And then here we set our old name text equal to whatever the value of that name is using getString. I have the exact same code here on spacebar, so we can just test it without having to reload the game. And here, this public function right here is the one that is called by our input field, and this is how you save data. So first you have to get the data from the input field. All you have to do for that is access input fields.text. In our case, it's name input, because that's what I named my variable. And then we did player prefs.setString, setInt, setBool, setFloat. It's set plus the type. You have to give it a key, which will always be a string, and then a string, which is the information for the set string one. Obviously, for a set int, it would be an integer, so on and so forth. In this case, I'm just feeding in my variable here, so name is going to be equal to whatever the player typed. Then it is good practice to always do playerprefs.save. It's supposed to do it on its own, but sometimes that doesn't work correctly. I'm not quite sure why, but it's best practice to do playerprefs.save to make sure it is saved. And that's how it works. So I'm gonna hit play and we can see how it works. Player prefs are saved to your registry as a binary file, meaning they are fairly difficult to edit. So you should be safe to do things like highscore or stuff like that. For certain things, you might want a more complex saving system, which might be necessary. So I'm going to call this guy Frank. Sure. And I'll hit space, and you can see it. I hope you found this video interesting. Pretty quick one, but save data is a very useful piece of information to have. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in the next one.